Hi, I had a few minutes here to talk about a few things on my mind about the tabernacle that I'd like for you to think about. We're going to have a video on Revelation, all the sevens in Revelation, and the seven I am statements, and a whole lot of other sevens. And they follow the same order, the same pattern um, set forth in the tabernacle, the order of the furnishings. Um, but for now, I'll just give you a quick rundown on Revelations, starting with the assemblies or Ekklesias, the seven Ekklesias, beginning with Ephesus. Now, I don't have any notes in front of me. I'm going right off the top of my head because once you know the pattern, it's pretty simple to memorize. The altar of sacrifice represents the Ecclesia of Ephesus. It speaks about first love, first furnishing, first love. Easy connection. What's the reward to the overcomers? They get to eat of the tree of life. What is one of the elements of the altar? It's the wood that supplies the energy, the fire. The next ecclesia is Smyrna, and that's the laver. That's the tribulation, the trials, um, etc. And what is promised the overcomers there? The second death will not hurt them. They will not partake of the second death, which is what? The lake of fire. And we can go into the Hebrew of of the word laver. It can be like a cauldron. Um, anyway, we'll go on to the third ecclesia. That's Pergamon, and that's the table of showbread. Third ecclesia, third furnishing. Here we have the doctrine of um, the false doctrine, Balaam and Balak, and the food sacrificed to idols, um, and the doctrine of the Nicolaitans was hated. But what is the reward for the overcomers of this ecclesia? It's the manna. That is what was received in the wilderness, the table in the wilderness. God provided a table in the wilderness. That was um, the manna that fell. That was in the um, that was the third step in the Exodus story. Remember, if you go look at my Exodus story video, that's the third thing that happened. The fourth ecclesia is Thyatira. And remember all the connections with the fourth furnishing, the menorah, the lampstand. Has six branches in the center shaft there, seven lights. What do we hear about this? We hear about a woman, Jezebel. Remember I told you the tree of the knowledge of good and evil that the woman partook of? Okay, so what is the reward given to the overcomers here? It's the morning star. The morning star is the fourth day of creation where we have the sun, the moon, and the stars, the lights in the heavens created. So that's very easy to remember. The fifth ecclesia or assembly, aka church, is Sardis. And we're standing at the altar of incense here. And what do we hear about Sardis? We hear that it needs to wake up. Do you remember Yeshua saying, "Can't you tarry with me 1 hour?" They were supposed to be praying. Um, I don't have the reference right now, but Sardis is told to awake. And remember, it also relates to Yom Teruah. Blow the shofar. Wake up. There's spiritual warfare going on. Wake up. And what is promised this assembly? It speaks about the book of life and how their names would be confessed before the angels. Wow. Okay, so we're standing at the altar of incense with Sardis. The next ecclesia is Philadelphia. And now we're into the most holy. And this is where the Ark of the Covenant is. Philadelphia, nothing bad is said about this. This is the key of David, and talking about opening doors that no man can shut and shutting doors that no man can open. And what is promised these overcomers? They're promised to be pillars in the temple. And let's see, number 7 is Laodicea, the lukewarm Ekklesias. And I don't have the verse in front of me or my notes, but just by memory, what is promised the overcomers? What is the reward to the overcomers? That they will sit on thrones judging. Remember, I explained that the 7th book is the book of Judges. If you look at my Torah in the Tabernacle video, it explains that. Okay, so starting over, the next thing is the seals back at altar of sacrifice. Number 1. What's the first seal? It's the white horse. Nike. It's a conqueror with a bow. And I won't get into it that much, but remember I spoke to you about the first day of creation was the light, and creation scientists say that this was the EMS, the EMR, the electromagnetic radiation. We don't see it. It's invisible. It's all around us. We see it when the rainbow comes out. We do see it then. It's visible. And that's also connected to the lampstand, the 7 colors of the rainbow. Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, the 7 visible colors of the EMS. So anyway, back to the altar of sacrifice, representing the first seal. The second seal is the red horse that takes peace. And let's also associate each of the 4 furnishings with one of the living creatures. The first living creature was the lion. The second was the domestic animal, the ox. The third was man, where we're at, that would be the table of showbread, the face bread. And then the other living creature had the face of an eagle, and that would be at the lampstand. Okay, so the second seal is the red horse. We're at the laver. Takes peace. It's the sword that divides. Takes peace. A domestic. That's civil. A civil thing. The third seal is the black horse with the scales. And what do we have at the table? We have bread. So the third seal talks about bread, the grain. But it said don't touch the wine or the oil. The fourth seal is the 4th horseman, and the color is green or pale. Here we are at the tree. And what does that horse represent? Death and the grave. And again, at the menorah, if we say that the menorah represents the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and death ensued because of eating from that holy tree, death ensued. And if you think about how time started ticking, okay, when on the 4th day of creation, the sun, moon, and stars, he said, let them be for Moedim, for times, appointed times, etc. So we have the, I would say, the ticking of time there. And so our time was cut short. We lived up to like 900 and something years, and then it got cut down with Noah to 120. So that's the 4th horse. And then we go to the 5th seal. And where are we standing? At the altar of incense, where that represents the spiritual realm. And what do we hear? We hear the souls under the altar crying out, praying for vengeance, and asking how long. And they were given a white robe and told to wait until their fellow brethren were martyred just as they were. The 6th seal Remember, it's the sixth day of creation. We have mankind. All of the six have something to do with mankind. Oh, also, I forgot to mention one fourth. One fourth were killed with the fourth furnishing. So there's these little hints and clues every time if you look for them. They follow the pattern of the furnishings. So number 6 seal, men hide because they see judgment coming. We're at Yom Kippur here. Okay. Remember 6 also represents Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And the 7th seal, there's half hour silence. Well, the seals all represent pretty much silence, but it's hinted to here. There's a half hour of silence.